Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Trap Chat Summer Reset, owning your growth, your glow, and catching your light. I am so thrilled today because we are about to summer reset and get y'all right on all things AI today. I am joined by Ann T. Griffin, the founder and principal AI consultant at Griffin Product and Growth. Anne is an AI product leader and educator with over 14 years of experience building products across startups as well as Fortune 500 companies. She's also built several emerging tech products across AI and blockchain. She is passionate about integrating she is passionate about integrating the human element into new technologies, teaches AI through O'Reilly and Pearson, and has guest lectured at Columbia and West Point. Her insights on technology have been featured in Rolling Stone, The Atlantic. She's also a contributor for Forbes on AI strategy and leadership. And she's coming to us from the great city of New York. However, it is thunderstorming here and there. So hopefully our power stays on while we're trying to get through this interview today. And thank you for joining me.
It is such a pleasure to be here. And I also feel it's so overdue. And
so overdue.
Yes, I'm really excited. And also summer is my favorite season. So you're getting the best version of Anne, really.
Love that. Love that. So let's jump right in. We have a lot to cover because, all these people yapping about AI, but we're going to get the truth from you.
Okay.
You've successfully moved across roles, industries, and technologies. As we are, heading well past this mid-year point, what narratives about AI or product development are you actively working to reset?
I think one of the things I'm really focused on right now is that really that AI is this thing that is just a chatbot or something that is, I'll say, like really easy to implement, but also on the other side, trying to not scare people into thinking, oh, this thing is so hard. It's too above me to learn about it. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's probably easier than you think to start on the path to learn about it, but you need to be incredibly thoughtful with how you implement it, because it's really like with any kind of goal. Like if you're building a product, like what is your goal? What is it for? You need to be really thoughtful about what type of interface does this need? What type of data are we really showing the user? And like what is the best way for someone to actually ingest that and like make that actionable? Like why is someone going to pay for your product? But again, people sometimes think, hey, I can just, implement this thing with like a large language model, which is, generative AI. So people will use things like, ChatGPT. I can just use kind of a ChatGPT wrapper and it'll be simple and easy. And I will just say it is more than that. You can't just take shortcuts for this.
I appreciate that because we see, especially in the HR and the TA space, I see new AI products show up every day, and I'm like,
they're proliferating. And yeah. I'm sure what you are probably seeing in the space, I haven't seen some of those products in the HR space, is some of them are trying to capture the hype. And, it's great to ride a wave, but it's why are you riding that wave and what value are you creating for people? Because if it's just like, hey, it's an HR tool, but it just looks exactly like ChatGPT, and there's nothing that is actually saving you time, right? Or giving you something that you can't get yourself, especially, again, if it's taking you the same amount of time or it's not confusing. That is something where it's really where we're getting a bad rap for AI. And I was on my way to a conference the other week, and I was telling this woman, I'm on my way to this AI conference in Asheville, North Carolina. Shout out to AI in production. And this woman was like, oh man, you know what? I really hate chatbots. She didn't say she hated AI. She said, I really hate chatbots because, and it's funny because she said this on an airplane. They're always trying to hijack what I'm doing. I'll be in the middle of something and they'll just pop up.
I didn't even think about that.
Yes. And because they try to hijack what I'm doing. And those are the kind of less thoughtful experiences that are creating a backlash. And also in terms of people like you, when you're looking at the 100th AI HR tool of the week, it starts making it so you hear about a new one and you think, I'm gonna wait because I don't have it in me, and just all the other tools that you've tried that weren't really insightful enough to figure out what you need, the value that they need to create for you for this to be something you're going to use again and again. It's like they really break trust every time they create the wrong interface for what is actually creating value for you and your or any kind of organization you're working with.
Absolutely. Oh, so that's my first question, is always about trust, the T in trap. Yes. And we know summer, which I just learned is your favorite season,
yes.
Is the season of pause, or it could be the season of push. So how do you trust yourself to know when it's time to continue taking bold action versus when you need to slow down, recalibrate, and realign?
Ooh, I think now it's a part where I feel it. And I know intrinsically, both when I'm like, I'll physically and also mentally, I will feel exhausted and know, okay, this is not something I can nap off in the afternoon. I actually need to slow down, maybe take a trip, maybe like I have early bedtime for the next couple of weeks. And so I know from that piece, but also the thing that has helped me a lot is the more I've grown in my career and as a person, realize when I do not feel intrinsic motivation to do something. There might be something where I'm like, I should do this because it sounds or looks really good on paper. But intrinsically inside, if there wasn't that motivation, would I still be like, wow, I'm so curious about this. I want to do it. And saying no to those things where you don't have that intrinsic motivation really helps cut out a lot of things that might sound good on paper, but you might not even get the full benefit if you can't really put your full self and full energy into it. And so that's how I try to ride that line of when do you need to step back and rest, and also what is even worth investing your energy in.
I love that. And that's great advice. And I'm sitting here like, you need to implement that. Like, if you don't feel it, don't do it. Yeah. I'm getting better, but I'm not still
it's
not.
A process.
Still not there.
I still am working on it, but it's a process.
Absolutely. Let's shift a little bit. So I want to talk about some of the work that you're doing. As I mentioned at the introduction, you teach AI at prestigious institutions like Columbia and West Point. How do you build authentic relationships with audiences who may have vastly different comfort levels with and or be resistant to emerging technologies?
Sorry for that little pause. We're having the co-thunderstorm between New York and Virginia right now. So if you're listening, there was this massive wave of thunder that just came through. Yeah. And like, how do I create authentic relationships with the audience? And a lot of it is, first of all, understanding like, where am I going? Is this, this talk of AI practitioners? Is this, a bunch of students who might actually be really excited because they grew up in this era? Am I, I talked to that woman on the plane where she's not an organization. She's just my seatmate. And she's talking about how much she dislikes chatbots. And a lot of it is tapping into what that person's lived experience is and being like, how do I speak to that lived experience? So when I was planning my talk recently at AI in production, I was like, a lot of these people are actually going to be developers, and they're going to be people that are actually excited about AI, but they're also probably people that are exhausted of people overhyping, overpromising, and then they're left to try to deliver on something that it's not, I don't say it can't be delivered, but I'll say is being asked to be done in a way where it's like, that's not going to do what you think it's going to do. And so thinking about, okay, that's what these people really feel right now. And then understanding from a point of, hey, the type of person who is maybe less technical. And not that AI requires you to be technical, but a lot of people where they perceive themselves as less technical. So they already kind of put up this barrier of like, don't give me anything that sounds like it might be technical, and thinking about what are their needs and what are also interfaces that they even work in today that are really, I'll say, valuable to them. And thinking about, okay, if this is how they work today, how do I actually combine kind of the experience that they're used to and really kind of say, can I create value in here? Or maybe it's like we need to create a new way of them getting what they need from the software. Maybe it's a whole different like kind of paradigm. But there's also a lot of opportunity in, hey, how do you just superpower what they're doing today? Because there is a line of like, you can be a super innovative company, but if you're the super innovative company and you're going to those people, whether you're giving a talk or you're building them a product, and you are just like, hey, these people are just never going to listen in this way or adopt this type of product in this way. They're going to be the people that are going to be the last to do it. Like, it doesn't make sense to start there. Like, start with the people who are going to be the early adopters. If you're like, hey, we're trying to actually change how people work. Like if you think about Uber, right? Uber wasn't your grandma saying, hey, this is really convenient for me to get to point A to point B without, having to drive myself. Those are usually like younger, more tech savvy people. And now it's expanded where I think actually Uber even has a senior program out there as well. Yeah. So I have to double check that, but I think I saw something about it. And these are all things where it's like, you have to think about where does it make sense to start? Like what is, you can say like in product terms, like what is the right market? What are the best right needs-based segments that you're actually creating value for? Because I'm like, if you're going to people where like, they're going to be scared of the most bleeding edge thing, their needs-based segmentation might be slightly different than the people where, hey, I want to do all of these things and I want it to be, much simpler and easy, where some people might be like, it might take me longer, but this is how I'm comfortable working. Please just don't touch my process.
I love that. I have to shift again because I don't have much time with you. So I want to try and cover everything. I'm one of those people that straddles the line between how great AI is and, leaning into the theories and the conspiracies and the fear mongering that AI is going to replace me as a recruiter. And we know that there are some ethical considerations when we're thinking about this. So thinking about the ethical considerations, the compliance, all of those things that we're still, trying to work through and still trying to flesh out. How do you hold yourself and the industry accountable for keeping human needs centered? And then what practices keep you grounded in keeping humans centered?
Yeah, for me, one of my first interests in AI was actually AI for social good. So learning about like how you could use this in healthcare in a positive way, or learning how they're using AI to be able to tell a road is washed out somewhere when there's a natural disaster. So people who are on their way to give help don't go to the blocked road. They go straight to what is the path of least resistance to get people help sooner. Or even how do you stop illegal fishing? That's like creating overfishing in our oceans. And because I learned those things first, naturally, I also think about that when I'm creating things of like, how can I create things that are not just valuable, but also are benefiting people in, like, I'll say more than just the business value way, but also being acutely aware of there are a lot of things in data in general that are proxies for other things that can create inequity. And we always talk about how a lot of our healthcare system, right, is a lot of that data is actually collected on men. So if you're looking at models that are trained on a lot of our healthcare data, there is going to be, maybe potentially slightly less accuracy when it comes to them predicting certain things in women. And obviously there's certain things that are trained on women, like things like a lot of the data around breast cancer is specifically from women. So AI that's designed to actually help women detect breast cancer, like those things are pretty good, but there's some more generic things that we need to think about. And so I always just think about, hey, I don't want to be a doomsday person, but I always think about like, what is a way where if this is misused, if someone does not have good intentions, what could happen? Or what is something that could happen accidentally that could come out of this? And so there's some books, like one book is Automating Inequality by Virginia Eubanks. Really highly recommend it. And one of the first stories in that book is actually about how an insurance company denied her partner a claim after he got mugged, and it basically got flagged by AI because it was the first day of their insurance, so it looked like fraud, but they didn't have any human in the loop to be able to then review the claim. So it took years and years for them to review that. So a lot of it is just being thoughtful and being very intentional about your own education as well.
Yeah. I love that. See, and this is exactly why you're featured in Rolling Stone, The Atlantic, and Forbes. So let me ask you, how has being proactive about sharing your voice in mainstream media contributed to your professional glow?
Well, I will say, when I tell people I'm a Forbes contributor, there is a little bit of a, oh, you're a Forbes contributor, even though I'm like, yeah, like it's a thing I do, but it's really just like I have these ideas, but then actually like getting them out and then putting them to those editorial standards is like a whole nother thing. And I'm like, I'm sitting over here being like, hey, what is that resource I read? Like, wait, I know I have this story in my head, but now that I'm writing it, how does it come out? But like, it definitely helps because I think it helps people. Yes, people will read the articles, but I think there's a layer of, oh, seeing that you are writing this for somebody like Forbes, this is something where clearly somebody thought like, hey, your insights here are unique, valuable. And I think when I talked about like the human element of like, I'm not just a cookie cutter like AI product manager or cookie cutter AI product consultant. It's like, hey, there's actually unique value, unique voice that I bring.
Absolutely. That's a perfect segue to my last question of the main section. Including writer, you wear other hats like product leader, educator, and consultant. So, sticking with our theme, what does catching your light mean to you at this stage in your journey? And then, what advice would you give to someone else who's ready to step boldly into their light while honoring the complexity of their identity and protecting the energy along the way?
Yeah, I would say we say catching your light, and really I see that as when you said intrinsic, like that's the thing inside of you, and it's really about you have to go on your own journey within, and if you can't find it, you need to go deeper. And it's a thing where you need to go as deep as you need to find it within yourself, because that is where a lot of like the truth, and I know technically it's like, I'm not trying to say, hey, we live in a world where it's like everyone just gets their own truth, but there's a certain element of like what is true to yourself in terms of what you really offer the world, what you actually want to do. And one of the things I said is when I got into AI, I was like, oh, I'm really interested in AI for social good. And that's given me a unique angle on looking at this field. But if I was just like, hey, I just want cookie cutter classes, tell me what master's program to go into to do XYZ, get a bunch of stamps of approval on my name, I really wouldn't be differentiated. It'd be cool. It'd be like, yeah, you can get into a really good school, but if it's because you're just trying to follow a blueprint that was designed for someone else, I'm like, you aren't going to end up in the places necessarily that you're going to be happy, because a lot of that is about finding that inner light and knowing how to then navigate, this map of the world, using that, knowing like what's going to lead you to feeling like fulfilled or purposeful.
Love that. You echoed the sentiments of my last guest, and now I'm kind of rethinking my questions here and kind of my theme, because she said the same thing. Like, you're not like, why are you trying to catch light? Like, light's already in you. Like, you already have the light. If you're running after it, then you're not going to get it. You said the same thing. The light's already in you. Do what's right for you. So yeah, I might have to rethink my whole
okay.
I'm learning too.
How do you like, nurture your light, because I also think about in Greek mythology, there is this, like Hestia is like the goddess of the hearth and like home. And you really think about like if you are home with yourself, right? You don't want that fire. If you think about the fire as the center of the home, you don't want that fire to go out. Like this is the thing where it's like this is in a home, like a, you know, in the old days, right? The fire is the thing that keeps you warm in the winter. It's the thing that you cook over that like allows you to be nourished by food. You know, it's the thing that you gather around with other people for you to have community. And I think it's about like how do you find that inner hearth, and then like how do you tend to it, because that is I think the thing of like when we talk about intrinsic versus like, you know, internal versus external. External things are kind of like, I don't know, I'll say they can help fuel that hearth, but they are not as slow burning as the things that come from within. And it's really like, how do you tend to that? How do you tend to that inner light?
Yeah. I got to think of another word, because catching the light gives the impression that it's running from you. And your light,
or that it's like coming from somewhere else to you. But it's really a thing that it's inside if you choose to go on that journey. But it is a journey.
Absolutely.
It's a journey.
Absolutely. All right. It's time for the rapid fire. Okay. Yes. Who is a well-known or lesser-known historical or contemporary figure who inspires you and we should learn more about?
I'll be honest, I forgot about this question. Historical figure
or contemporary
figure who inspires me. I would really say, I mean, I think there's like a combination of people. Somebody that I actually bring up in a lot of like my own writing and talking to people is actually Shreyas Doshi. He's a product leader. He is just really very, very good at clear thinking, and also teaching about clear thinking. And like I would say like that his whole class, improving your product sense, changed my entire life. It's, you know, you go there thinking you're like, oh, I'm going to learn certain things about product, and you do, but it really is just the art of clear thinking extends into every part of your life. And so that's somebody where I want to just say like is an inspiration, but really kind of, I'll say, is a teacher on my own journey who I really respect. And I've really enjoyed like learning from him. And so that's somebody where it's less of inspiration and like, here's all these crazy things they accomplished. And he has worked for some really amazing companies, but I think it is more inspirational in the sense of showing me like the path for clear thinking for myself versus that. Again, relying on that outside and like kind of looking around for other people to tell me what is like the right path, whether it's like for a product or for something else.
I love that. Okay. Well, this one I hope is a little bit, I hope you didn't forget this one too, but that was a great answer. What fictional character gives you a glimpse of yourself?
What fictional character gives me a glimpse of myself? I would say this is also a challenging, another challenging question.
Well, you just mentioned the Greek mythology figure.
Yeah. So I was gonna actually go in this direction, and I would say there is, so like I'm really into mythology. So I'm like, I don't want, and first of all, I want to say like for anybody who is like, this is actually like a deity for you, I'm not saying that they're necessarily fictional, but in terms of a thing that is not like a physical human person, I think, you know, I want to say it's just this, but like somebody who I'm like, oh, there's some good parts and some bad parts, but like the good parts of this one is like Pele, like this Hawaiian, the goddess of the like Hawaiian Islands. And I really like I'll say like I read about her in a book about goddesses like a really long time ago. And some people think about like, oh, she's this like angry volcanic goddess. But the thing I really like about her is actually she is really about like creation and creativity, because you think about, right, the Hawaiian Islands like didn't used to exist. And when you think about this whole thing of like, this lava coming up off of the ocean floor, and over time, right, that becoming like the combination of, what is basically fire, magma cooling down, and then over time, like, plants and like being able to grow there, animals getting there, and you have this kind of whole ecosystem, not just here's one thing that was created, but this whole ecosystem that was created from, the bottom of the ocean floor and like fire, essentially. I find, what our earth is capable of, like, to be incredibly beautiful. And so again, I'm not trying to say I'm this like volcanic fire goddess, but I really I love her path of creation and creativity. And I think I try to push myself more and more to be someone who is trying to push creative boundaries in a way that it's not just one dimensional, but like actually creates room in ecosystems that are like actually quite abundant.
I love it. I love when I talk to smart people and I learn new things. Like, that's my favorite part of. That's really why I do this. I don't do this for other people. I do this for me.
This is for me, so I can enjoy.
Yes, it is. What is your favorite empowering quote?
Ooh, my favorite empowering quote. I would say my favorite empowering quote is, so it's by this, I don't want to butcher her name, so I'm actually going to look it up right now, because it's like, so it's this Nigerian poet.
Okay.
She is my favorite poet in the entire world. And okay, this is from a longer poem that she wrote. But like her first name is Ishioma. She's Nigerian. And she has this line that's like, I am nurturing, but I carry a machete. And I love it because I do think I am very nurturing. But I also believe like I have my boundaries. But I also don't think the machete is necessarily also like a reference to violence. I also think of it as like a reference also to harvest. It's like it's a dual use tool where it's like it is a means of defense, but it is also a means of harvest. Because I'm like, if you're going to nurture, you also harvest, from some of the things that you like plant, right? And so she's just, I love her. She is so good with words. And that's just like one of my favorite quotes. My other favorite quote here is actually from Nikki Giovanni. And it says, it's from one of her poems, is I am Ra, in like the sun god in ancient Egyptian mythology, in a space to be discovered, not in a space to be discovered, but invented. And going back to, like this thing of like creating yourself, which also James Baldwin also talks about creating yourself and like forcing people to deal with yourself. And I don't mean this in like just be yourself and everyone just has to necessarily like, you can be a jerk and everyone has to deal with it. I don't mean that, but really you, again, have to find who you are on the inside and like also create from that space, because those are the things that really bring unique value into this world. And even just when you think about business success, right? It's going to be easier for you to create new value if you're able to create and be creative, because there's not as much value in just being good at copy paste. Like you can get value from that, but if you want to like win, right, you have to be creative enough to do something that no one else is doing. Because if you look at a lot of just like things in even the 20th century that made people ultra successful, even if they maybe did it in ways that were not always ethical, was that they found creative ways to solve problems. And again, there were certain things that again were unethical and maybe how they did that, but these are things where it's like, hey, people were not creative in a way to figure out how to do that at a certain scale, and that is how they were able to be successful in business. And you don't have to necessarily take their path, but I think there's so much of this of like, and going back to the person I told you, like I really love his work, Shreyas Doshi. He's like, okay, there's all these books out there about Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, all this business advice. If all you have to do is follow their advice, why aren't more people successful?
That's not how it works.
That's his quote, not mine, but yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Okay. Ooh, I always like this question because I get surprised sometimes. If you could spend the day shadowing someone in another profession, who would it be and what would you hope to learn from them?
Yeah. Actually, like in another profession, I think this would be, I've kind of like played with like what, see, here's the problem I have with this question is like, I very much.
She's re-engineering my questions.
I'm re-engineering your questions. It's okay though. I promise you it'll be great. I really love what I do.
Okay.
And I think like if I could shadow anybody, I'll be honest, like right now, if I could shadow anyone, like I really love what I do. I love being me. And so, but like if I really had to be like, hey, here's someone. And this may be something where it's like people are like, that doesn't make sense. But I think I'd probably shadow like one of the people running these like big AI companies, or even just like I would shadow Sam Altman or I would shadow Mark Zuckerberg. And a lot of people might be like, that doesn't seem like a very answer. But the reality is I'm like, how else are you going to learn from, like, if you had the opportunity, it's funny because this is like the dinner with Jay-Z question of like.
Yeah, when you take dinner or the money.
Yeah. But it's like, if you're like, hey, you're going to shadow somebody, pick anyone in the entire world, and you look at the tipping point that we're on, even if you're like, I don't agree with how you do everything, right? I'm not learning to try to do certain things from you, but trying to understand, like, watching how they make decisions.
Okay.
Watching how they think in the chaos that is probably their day to day. Like, those are the things where, like, they're currently battling it out from a AI super intelligence standpoint and like trying to steal each other's talent. Mostly Zuckerberg is trying to steal Sam Altman's talent.
Isn't he making like $1 and $1 billion offers to people?
Yes. And so my whole thing of like, what could I do that is really so vastly different that you can't get like really a taste of doing it for anyone else? I'll be like, I want to see like, what is it like basically reshaping this, even if there's a lot of things that I wouldn't take from them, but I'm like, what is that like in the day of making those type of business decisions? And like, what are the things, like how, like watching how they think more so about the things they encounter day to day.
All right. I like it. Yeah. Again, I always get surprised when people answer that question. I've had a wide range of responses. Oh, this is one of my favorites. What is your go-to songs, or music genre when you want to hype yourself up to conquer the day?
Okay. So you said music genre is usually either Afrobeat or hip hop.
Okay.
Yeah. And also like, I am such a big fan of Thames. I think she is amazing. I love, this is not necessarily like a hype song, but it is definitely I got this, like, and like, I'm like, she has this line in it. It's called Turn Me Up. And and sorry if I butcher this on here, because I'm like, she has this line in there where she goes, I'm a 10, not a 9, number 1, not a 2, not a 3. And I was just like, I love this. I was like, the energy in that line, like I play it back all the time. Just like, yeah. And so that's one of my favorite, songs.
Okay. What's the best piece of career advice you've received you would give to your early career self?
My early career self. I mean, I'm going to repeat some of the stuff I said earlier of better understanding what you are interested in from the inside and also good at. Just because you're like interested and good at it doesn't necessarily mean that has to be a career decision for you. But I think there are things in which you can take elements of that and apply those things to your career. Because not everyone, some people are like, oh, if I really love cooking and that motivates me, that doesn't mean you would actually like, other elements of being a chef, right? But like, how do you maybe take that and say, oh, maybe you want to work at, you know, like you are going to be someone where like you work in food science or something like that, and, you know, work on flavors for Little Debbie or something. I don't know. So those are things. It's like, how do you figure out more about your, like, I think I had somewhat, I knew I wanted to work in tech like very early, even if I didn't fully know what that meant. But I wish there are certain, I would say how I would have made certain career decisions, even within my tech and product career, would have been different had I better understood my own motivations.
I understand that. Ooh, this is where I put you on the spot.
Okay.
If you wrote a book describing your career so far, what would the title be? And is it coming out this year or early next year?
Well, the book I actually want to write, which I've never written this type of thing before, so I don't know if it's actually going to happen. But I actually want to write is not about me. I want to write an anthology of short stories that are kind of like Black Mirror, but not all Black Mirror, where it's like a lot of it's AI focused. But I'm like, I'll just have things that pop into my head, and I'm like, I want to write that, but I haven't written any of them yet. But about my career, what would it be called? I think I would call it like outside the box. Okay. I think that's what I would say, because I started learning about AI before it kind of like, you know, blew up. I started learning about blockchain before.
Yes. I learned so much. I didn't even know what a blockchain was until I was following. I was like, what is this? Like, what is she talking about?
And then I think there's so many things of like, you know, even though there's things I would have done differently earlier in my career, I think there are certain things where I am really grateful for some of the less traditional paths that I've taken, and for trusting my gut the times that I did, and kind of being in a place where I, you know, am like, you know, I don't want to fit into this box in terms of my career. I want to, man, one time in an interview, somebody asked me what my career goals were for like the next 5 years. And
here's question.
Well, here's my thing. And I was just like, I'm going to answer the honest answer. Is I said, well, here's the thing of like, my biggest goal is actually to just have fun and be like, I want to learn a lot. I want to be able to explore my curiosity, especially with like AI. And I want to be able to build things that we couldn't have imagined like even a year or two ago. But like, my thing in doing that is like, I want it to be fun for me. Like, I want to make people money in the process, right? Like, that's a real thing. But I only want to be at places where creating that value in that specific way is fun and enjoyable for me. And I think about our life is so short, and I'm like, why should your career be this, you know, very stiff and unfun thing? And so I think, you know, like outside the box would be my, like, the name of my career book.
Okay. I like it. And I will be touching base with you about both of those books here soon. All right. So before I let you go, what upcoming projects or initiatives or speaking engagements or just fun things that you want to highlight should we be on the lookout for, and then tell people where they can find you and follow you?
Okay. A few things. My current side mission, because I don't have enough things to do. I am on a side mission to learn as much about artificial general intelligence and super intelligence as much as possible. So in 2 weeks, I'm leaving for Iceland to go to an artificial general intelligence conference to go basically talk to a bunch of researchers, learn about what are they actually doing, because I want to hear it from the people that are doing the research and not the marketing hype. So that's one of my current things. And then on August 18th, Jumpstart Your AI Career, which I teach on O'Reilly, is back. So I'm super excited for that. And I can't think of, and if you're in Boston in September, I will be speaking at Boston Startup Week about AI prototyping. Nice. You can find me on my website, antgriffin.com, which I think you'll have here, so I won't spell it all out.
It's scrolling, yeah.
Great.
Excellent. ANNE, not ANN.
Yes, and with an E, like Anne of Green Gables.
Yes. Well, I am so thankful that you took time out of your day today in the thunderstorm.
and the East Coast thunderstorm that's happening.
It got a little tricky there for a second, but it seems to be calming down a bit. I do want to thank you for taking time out and sharing all your amazing insights. Like I said, I am always so happy when I talk to someone who's both intelligent, creative, all of the things, and you are those. Thank you for joining me. And I look forward to continuing to follow your work. Make sure you go and check out all the stuff Ann is doing. She told you where she's going to be in person, but don't be running up on her.
Also, if you need someone to be an advisor, if you have a startup or that kind of thing, and you need someone to advise on an AI product that you're building, I am happy to work together with you. So
connect with her, and I got the LinkedIn down there too. But like I said, don't run up on her like you know her in real life. Be kind, be nice. All right. And we will see you next time on another episode of Trap Chat Summer Reset. Thanks, everyone.